And a lot of people in that position would just run away, hide, never speak to that person again out of embarrassment and shame. And then they don't want to face them, which is part of why we're obsessed with new donors. First, face the music. Acknowledge the awkward. That's what I tell my clients. Acknowledge the awkward. They're like, it feels awkward to reach out. It feels awkward to get connected to this donor. It feels awkward to ask for more. It feels awkward to say that. Be like, hey, you know what? I haven't done a good job. Yeah. And I feel awkward reaching out to you. I mean, I've said that to people.
No, it's cool. I've been looking forward to this. Thank you so much for coming. I'm a fan, and I did mention, I said, I really am becoming more of a student. I'm not fickle about the nonprofit podcasts that are out there at all. We've just been so laser focused on what we do and stuff, and so I've been becoming a student of different episodes and listening to other things because I just want to learn more in general. And I love your approach just to, oh gosh, there's so much, right? Just picking up the phone, creating meetings, your approach to, it's like, if I had to hit this goal, this is what I would do right now. It doesn't have to be what you think you should do or what you've done. This is what I've done and it's worked. And, I've helped folks raise $65 million in 16 years. And I love your approach. And I was just telling you before we got on air, it's like the greatest podcast episode I've ever heard happened. It was released, at least. I don't know when you recorded it. It was on, and just get ready, everybody. It was October 15th, 2024 on the Nonprofit Courage Lab. And it was daily habits to raise more major gifts. And what was so cool is it's like daily habits. Yes. Huge. Major gifts. Yes. But you speak to people that you could speak to people in a way that their job isn't even to raise and to get major gifts. It could be mid-level. It could be monthly recurring. Your language and how it hit me was massive. So long story short, I'm tickled to have you here. So thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
gosh, that must be one of my favorite intros to a podcast that I've ever had. So thank you so much. That's really kind. I'm so glad. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of theory and there's a lot of stuff that maybe worked before 2020, stuff that worked, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that stuff's great. Yeah. But gosh, the world is changing so fast. And I'm like, what's working right now? What's going to be the most helpful? And so, yeah, I probably do get too tactical, but I love it. I'm so action oriented. I'm like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go do it.
Yeah. I love that you identified in that episode and in a lot of the speaking that you do is just goals, focus. You call it your North Star. It's like, listen, this is my North Star. I have to start at zero, and that's blissful sometimes. Anything great, we have to start at zero. But here's my North Star, and no one's going to get me to waver away from that. And I'm just like, it's just such a good reminder in this space, Julie. I just, obviously you've refined this message over time, but what was it? You've worn so many hats. You obviously don't look that old. So it's like, you've been in the nonprofit space for a long time. So it's like, when were you just like, oh my goodness, I'm onto something. This is how it has to be. I think, what was there a moment, or was there a position or a gift where just like, oh, I can start teaching people how to do this. What was it?
Yeah, I've had some incredible mentors throughout the course of my career, and just professionally and personally, who have really invested a lot in me. And so I feel tremendously blessed that I've been around really great thinkers, people who are super strategic and kind and relational savants, and have raised a bunch of money. And I was like, I got to get around these people. They're raising more than me. What are they doing? Who are they? And I learned about what I call the invisible millions. So most wealth, most of what, when you run a donor through a wealth engine, right? It's giving you a result, a rating a grade. Oh, this donor is a level 1. There's somebody who you should prioritize because their net worth is, 5 million plus. And virtually every nonprofit has at least one person like that. And most of wealth is not in the bank, right? It's not cash in the bank. And I learned this. I learned that when you are able to talk to people about giving from their wealth, and there's a way to do that, that you unlock 10, 15 times the gift size than the average gift of credit card or anything that you can give from cash that people typically give. That was a huge unlock from a mentor that I had when I was at United Way on the major gifts team there. And, it was transformative. I was like, wow. Okay. So in the same amount of time, right? It takes me the same amount of time to get a meeting, to get a phone call, the same amount of time to email this person. But in that one conversation, I'm closing 10 to 15 times the amount. So same amount of time invested and raising 10 to 15 times more from one donor. So understanding how wealth works, understanding how donors think, understanding how people who are charitable, people who are generous, what are their values? How did they get like that? Like just really being a great listener, that changed everything for me. And I had a friend in 2018. I had quit my director of development job here in LA. It was a great job. And I didn't have anything lined up. And people were like kind of concerned, like, Julie, what are you going to do next? I'll take you to coffee. Let's talk about your career, And I was like, I think I need to sleep. I was so tired. And I did. And the day that I put in my notice, a friend of mine who is running a nonprofit here in LA came up to me and was like, hey, look, I heard that you put in your notice. I need help. I need help to raise like millions of dollars, and I need to do it in like the next 12 months. Can you help me? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I think that this is sort of funny, but also just kind of gives you a sense of me, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually responded to him like, let's make it billions.
Yeah, let's rip the lid off this, what. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we're in Los Angeles. We actually, like, I'm thinking of people who had billions to give. And anyway, so that was my first sort of like moment into helping someone learn how to do what I had learned how to do. I guess technically consulting, right?
Yeah, consultant cap. Yeah.
And I never wanted to be a consultant ever.
Yeah.
No. I just thought they were like overpaid and not helpful generally, and really smart with lots of degrees and certifications that amounts to no more money raised, and writing super long plans and studies and assessments that help no one. But you can take this, 27-page research study that they did and present it to your board of directors. Like, look what we did. Look how smart we are with all these fancy words. And no one knows how to implement anything that they found, all of their findings. There's no support for that. That was like my experience of consultants. And I was like, I'm never going to be that. But a friend needed help ultimately. And I taught him and his little team how to raise millions of dollars. We raised a little over $5 million in cash, and in like 9 months. And that was really, really fun. And I thought, it's a skill to do this, and then it's a skill to teach it. And I didn't know that I had that skill. Like, I wasn't going into this thinking, oh, I got this in the bag. it was like a experiment, and they were taking a risk on me and I was taking a risk on them, but I was willing to give everything I had. So yeah, I was just generously like, I'll teach you everything that I've ever learned, everything that I know. And it went well. It worked. It was successful. It was extremely challenging. And I learned a ton from doing that, but I learned that I enjoyed it. And so people got word of that. Oh, can you help me? Can you come train our team? So that was really my first like start into, it isn't just about being bolder and more courageous. That's a really big piece that super smart people might want to avoid. But it is the truth. But it's also like you have to change your mindset, your relationship to money, your relationship to being in abundance. Like this is going to sound a little bit woo-woo, Trevor, but like being in abundance energetically, like the opposite of stress, the opposite of lack, the opposite of there's not enough. And that's and the nonprofit world is totally mired in that. And many of us, we don't even realize we're addicted to it. We're just stuck in this fight or flight. There's never enough. Please, dear God, we need a miracle. Will you come through? And it's like, it's super hard to do. And I've been in that position where you have to raise millions of dollars and it's on your shoulders. And you know that if you don't, like your friends who you work with, who you are helping to pay for their salaries and their livelihood, if you don't raise the money, your coworkers are going to get laid off. Like nobody, like that is a reality of fundraising, and it is real. And it's a skill and a discipline. It's a component of emotional intelligence to be able to recognize the stress that's going on inside of you, the pressure that comes with that, to manage it well, even when you're on your own and you're just meeting with a donor and there ain't nobody else who's going to come help you. It's you, babe. Right? And you're like, okay, I've got to be able to handle this and make it look easy. Like, I sit across from really successful people and I'm like, yeah, I don't need your money, bro. It's all good. Like, we're going to get this done. Listen, like what we're doing in the world, we're going to get it done with or without you. Do you want to come? Cool. If you don't, it's all good. And that mindset is so radical, but I attribute that. Like, I don't need any one single person to say yes to me. When I'm sitting across from someone, even though they're super rich, whatever the case may be, they've given away a lot of money and they've said that they're interested in partnering with us. I'm not like white knuckling it, like, ugh, please.
I hope it happens. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, because I believe that it's a gift for someone to give. Giving is a gift to the giver. I believe that. I'm giving them a gift. It's not a gift with like strings attached. It's not a gift like out of manipulation. It's just a gift. And I consider myself a generous person, and there are people out there who are more generous than me.
Let's double click on what you talk about and it's so rampant in our space. Like you said, it's an addiction. It's an addictive trait, and it's in our culture. It's in our space. Talk about folks projecting that scarcity buzz term, but projecting their own checkbook on a potential giver, projecting that what's going on in the world. And I don't, it's not that I bury my head in the sand. I don't care what's going on in the world, but I'm really tired of folks chasing headlines as the reason why they won't pick up the phone or take that meeting or make that invitation or make the ask, whatever vernacular you want to use. But talk about how folks can overcome. You laid it out nicely, but let's double click on it, where it's like, how do we get that over that mindset? Or what are some tools that you've used teach folks to get over that mindset where they're projecting their own reality or you said relationship with money. The minute I changed my relationship with money in my life and I wanted to live abundant, my life changed. And this happened 15 years ago, changed forever. But talk about that, how it applies in our space.
I did this. I was a total coward. I was sitting across from really wealthy guy, big shot, managing partner at a big 4 firm, downtown Los Angeles. We're meeting for coffee. I finally get like a 30-minute coffee with this person. And I'm, however old I am, I'm 25 at the time. Like I'm just this like young professional, I'm show up in my blazer, like, and I was, so worried about asking for too much money. And, it's one of those lessons that it stuck with me forever. And sometimes I feel like people have to learn it by experiencing it. It's not something that they actually heed as wisdom from the other side. Here I am telling you that you can damage relationships irreparably by asking for too little. That's what people don't consider. And I have, I'm sure that it has happened, I suppose. I've had clients ask donors for more and they do get upset. I had one of my folks inside Courage Lab, my group program, ask their board member to give increase from 10K to 15K a year. Not a huge increase, not radical. This person's a board member, right?
Yeah.
And they told my client, "Oh, wow, you're asking for more, huh? Well, make sure that you guys don't get too greedy over there." And she reached out to me like, "Julie, what is going on?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Here's what I would say if I were you. We're asking for more because we're growing our impact. And you know that as a board member. And if that's offensive to you that we're growing our impact, then this may not be the right spot for you any longer. Period." And I said, reach out to, this person was development manager. They weren't even the ED or CEO. I said, reach out to your boss and let them know, hey, this is what's going on with the board member. They're calling us greedy. And I said, look, if a board member particularly, but if a donor calls you greedy, thinking that you're going to spend that extra 5K on an effing jet ski for yourself or whatever they think is going to happen, they're projecting the greed in their own heart. It has nothing to do with you. And they don't belong on your board anymore. And it's A-okay. Like it's time to go. So that happens. But that person, isn't it a gift that we find out now, sooner rather than later? They don't belong on the board. They're not your person.
Addition by subtraction. Yeah.
So rewind. I'm sitting at this coffee with this managing partner at this big firm, big shot guy, right? I get this meeting with him and I sit across from him and I'm talking about our mission. I'm talking about what we're doing in the community. I'm thanking him for his past support. And then here comes the moment I'm gonna ask for money, and I'm like, would you consider giving $2,500 this year?
What?
And his face, I'll never forget it. It just like, I'm not really a good actress. I wish I could do an impression for you, but he was like, wow. He just like, it's like his whole face just drooped. He was so downtrodden. And he goes, "Sure, Julie, I will give $2,500. And this was at the time where, sometimes, people just carried checkbooks with them. And he opens up his briefcase. He pulls out a checkbook right then. He writes the check for $2,500. He hands it to me and he says, take care. And I wish you the best of luck. And he leaves. He's done with the meeting. The meeting's over.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I was like sweating, through my suit. I was just so sweaty and nervous. And I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, I just wasted his time. I totally wasted his time. And, I didn't know him well enough that, some people say, well, oh, if he's super rich, why didn't he just give, 25K? Why didn't he just give 100K? Well, I'm the one who is representing the organization and its need. And if all I'm asking for is $2,500, he doesn't know better than I do about what the need is. It's my role to represent and communicate what we're doing. And if all I ask for is $2,500, then I'm leading him to believe all I need from him is $2,500.
Right. Yep.
It's on me. And I was like, oh, because I considered $2,500 to be a lot of money, quote unquote, a lot of money, that I thought there's no way I could ask for more. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, if you go and you look up what the billable hours are for a managing partner at a Big Four firm, I mean, it's kind of comparable to $2,500 an hour. I mean, so it was just like a big learning, because I saw the disappointment and the he was ready to do more.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the courage, and I didn't have the understanding of who I was sitting across from. And because of my low level of, let's say, emotional intelligence, my ability to manage my own stress and emotions around asking for more, and to recognize what's going on inside of myself, and to also recognize what's going on inside of the person I'm sitting across from, that I left, I don't even know how much money I left on the table.
Right.
And that stuck with me. His reaction, his face, I'll just never forget it. It was a huge aha. And I was surrounded by, later on, meeting more and more people. Their primary concern was like, how do I get the courage and the confidence to do this? Like, I don't know anybody who's doing this better than me, and I don't know how to do this. I don't come from wealth. How do I actually get over the fear, the extreme discomfort, the feeling like I'm going to die, asking somebody for a really big amount? And so I created a solution, which is why I started my company, Courage Lab, because there was nowhere where you would get a better strategy that would work for you and your goals and your unique strengths and your culture for your team, and also learn the tactics and get the personal courage to raise more. There was nowhere you could go. I was like, who is doing this? Who's talking about these things? Nobody was talking about it. I think people talk a lot about courage now, but at the time, it wasn't like, there was nowhere you could go to overcome your fear of asking for more.
Yeah. It's interesting. There's so much, you have to be okay with failure, right? Obviously you have to be okay with no can be, I want to hear your opinion about no, of course, and your take on it, because I think no is better than maybe. I have sayings just from my sales background, and with our team now, it's like, no just means no for right now. It doesn't mean no forever. All sorts of different, to-dos and things about that. But, you have to be okay with failure. I'm really on this very strong psychology kick and how it applies to givers and donors. But I want to still talk about folks in development and folks that are in major gifts and in charge of getting money in the door, right? I want to talk about that some more. The greatest way to get someone to keep doing what they're doing, and to keep on that path, is by praising them and congratulating them and thanking them for doing well. When you're rot in a when you're in a space where it's like, oh, I fail 9 times out of 10, I failed 18 times out of 20. How do you how do you use these, like for a team listening or for someone in development listening, how do you use every rep as a way to lift yourself up and get through that failure? And, talk to me about that. Cause like I said, it's like, it's worse than baseball. Cause in baseball, you have a career where you hit 3 times out of 10, you're successful, you go to the Hall of Fame. It's not the same in our space, right? It's not the same where you come from. So how do you praise folks and congratulate them and teach folks how to condition themselves to celebrate those, mini wins or what have you? Talk about that and how you approach it.
Well, that's a really good question. In my coaching and training program, Courage Lab, we do challenges. So we just finished a 10 asks in 10 days challenge. And you have to make an ask a day. And it doesn't have to be for money. It could be for help. It could be for having a difficult conversation that you've been putting off. But usually folks raise multiple 10K plus gifts and feel a great sense of accomplishment. Wow, it feels so good to get this done. And they're showing up in our private Slack channel at the end of each day and reporting what they did and what they learned. And even when someone shares a win inside Courage Lab, right? They're like, oh my gosh, I sent this email and I got a 15K gift. And I would have put this off for another 9 months. And I finally just did it. And I used your framework and I got a yes right away. This feels amazing. I'm going to keep going. And I'm like, amazing. What are you learning from this? That's my first question. Every time there's a win, what are you learning? What are you learning? Because we have to actually take a minute to reflect. How am I changing my approach? How are my beliefs shifting? What did I believe before? And now what belief am I disproving with my actions? Now that I've made progress, even if I didn't get the outcome that I wanted, how am I changing my perception of myself, my perception of my role in the world, and how I relate to donors and who I'm becoming? How is that evolving? And asking people those questions, it's so beautiful to see because oftentimes the response is, this is a lot simpler and easier than I made it out to be. I just need to go for it and stop overthinking. And it's like, right, we know all this stuff. It's all the stuff that we all say. We're like, just go for it, right? And I think that the magic is some of the folks that I work with, their motivation is through external factors. So I don't know if you're familiar with the 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. It's along that psychology route that you're talking about. It's an assessment that helps you to understand what motivates you. And there's 4 different types. And the folks that I usually help are motivated by external factors, meaning people are relying upon them and therefore they don't want to disappoint people who are relying upon them. They're motivated by external forces. Almost
like pressure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can use this to your advantage in raising more money. It's not something to try to fix or to change about yourself. It's something to leverage. And the reason that my program is a group program is because not only do you have me for accountability, but you also have your peers who are in the trenches, who are rolling up their sleeves and taking these risks alongside you. And that's a big reason why people who are motivated by external factors succeed, because they are in community. They have accountability structured into their daily work that they're doing. And there are a lot of folks who have convinced themselves and told themselves that they need to figure this out on their own, that they should figure it out on their own, that they should have figured it out on their own by now. And these are all lies, and they suck. Yeah. And it doesn't feel good to believe that. Yeah. When the opposite is true, actually, you have greatness within, and what you might need is a better strategy. Yes, but in addition to that, a better strategy isn't enough. You need accountability built in to your strategy so that you're going to be more likely to maintain momentum and keep going and celebrate wins, because you have this community of people who are asking you, hey, how are you winning?
It's amazing that you've created that for these folks, because it can be a very lonely space. And what I hear you saying, I'm not projecting my own, what I hear you saying is that there's growth, right? And I had some really profoundly, someone recently told me, growth is always inconvenient, right? And they meant uncomfortable as well, right? But it's always a blessing. And, and so we just have to accept it. For the longest time I said, change leads to growth, things like that, because you need that out of yourself, to exude what comes from pressure. And usually it's diamonds, without getting too cliche, right? But it's real. Yeah. It sounds like you're talking about growth. I think that you said something really, really cool that I've never heard anyone say before. You said relational savant. So are your team, the folks that you're coaching are learning so much and growing so much and learning about how to ask for money in the right way and the wrong way. And they're also learning that they need to be relational savants, because at the end of the day, this is a giant exercise in the power of relationships. Is it not? Or what's your take on that?
Absolutely. It's all about people. Yeah. People are why we do this. People are the real treasure. It is about raising money. Yeah. Money flows through relationships. Mm-hmm. And I think if we can get greater emotional intelligence, if we can understand who we are, how we feel about ourselves, how we would like to feel about ourselves, and construct that intentionally, it doesn't happen organically. And if we understand others better, if we get better at listening and understand what's being said beneath the words that are said, I guess you could call it wisdom, understanding. It goes way beyond knowledge and information and data. It's, can you understand someone? And those skills, that skill of being emotionally mature, is a huge piece of being able to raise millions of dollars. If you can't handle a tough moment, you won't enter into it. And tough moments are usually where you're taking the biggest swings, so you have the biggest reward waiting for you. I mean, talking to really successful, wealthy people who are ultra high net worth individuals is extremely challenging. I've talked to so many people.
If you don't come from that world, especially if you don't come from that world. Like you said, you don't come from wealth. I don't come from wealth. I come from practically nothing. Yeah, the same.
Yeah,
I'm not an enormously wealthy person, by the way. But yeah, you get my point. Yeah,
right.
It's an interesting mindset.
And then I've just spoken with so many people who have achieved every material dream that they could ever imagine.
Yeah.
They were employee number 4 at PayPal, or they were, just had in a really tremendous success. And now they're still young. They're like 50. They're retired. Their kids are growing up almost empty nesters if they're not already, sending them off to college. And they're like, now what?
Yeah.
And they realize that life is ultimately about serving others.
Yeah.
It's ultimately about contribution and significance and meaning and connection. And what I wish more nonprofit executive directors, development directors, major gifts officers knew is that there are so many wealthy people who are desperate for connection, for meaning, for significance. Great. I bought the house. I sold my company. I have all the success. I own multiple properties. I mean, whatever it is, right? And it's like, okay, now I really want to do something that's going to make a lasting impact. And that's the huge advantage that nonprofits have to offer someone with wealth.
Yeah.
That I think we discount. And it's a mistake to do that.
Can I have you just go even deeper with that and just talk about, because you've had so much experience with folks with this tremendous capacity. We're constantly educating people by saying things like, obviously there's a tremendous amount of money in the system, Sue. Don't worry about charity XYZ down the street. There's enough money to go around. We can be strategic, and I think differentiation is stronger than competition and things like this. But talk to it, just like, it didn't have to necessarily even be a moment, Julie, but just to tell the audience that these people, the number 4 at PayPal, or someone that literally has, 8 figures in the bank, liquid or what have you, they push their own cart in the grocery store and still drive themselves to the coffee shop and still order their own food. It's not that we all have the same amount of the bank, but they're still people. Like, they get flat tires and their kids go home sick from school. And like, do you see it? Like the relatability piece, you know what I mean? It's overlooked, unfortunately. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I also have the blessing of being in Los Angeles. And so I've met a lot of wealthy and famous people, household names, big blockbuster movie stars, top 40 artists. And there are a lot of people who, are super lonely.
Yeah.
And
interesting. That's interesting.
Struggling with all kinds of personal issues. And then on top of that, they're wealthy and famous. And so they aren't really sure who their real friends are. And everybody who's ever known them back from when they were in the 4th grade together is asking them for something and expecting something. I mean, everyone has their challenges in life. Everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. Everybody has challenges with family. Everybody has somebody they love who's sick. Everybody. And the greatest gift I think that you can offer is just being authentically yourself in relationships with people, regardless of what their net worth is, regardless of how famous they are, and that you're just connecting as human beings. That's what I've tried to do. There hasn't really been a moment where I've been intimidated by fame, I guess, because I've just had so many real conversations with people like that. And I just see that they're just human beings trying to figure out their life too. They don't have more answers than I do. They're not better than me. They're not more valuable than me. I mean, these are radical things I'm saying, I guess. It's just like practicing empathy. Like, can you actually connect with someone who comes from a very different place than you?
Yeah.
And can you understand them? It doesn't mean that you agree with them. You agree with their choices or you agree with their point of view, but can you get it? Like, do you get their life? Do you get their motivations? Do you get what makes them tick? Do you have the patience and the interest, the curiosity to actually get to know someone? Or are you just like palm sweaty, want to throw up because all you can think about is the money in their wallet? And that sucks for everybody involved. And of course, people hate fundraising if that's what it's really about. something that I tell my clients is we're not coming for their money. We're coming for their whole life.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in just somebody giving money. Some people might only just give money, and that's cool. But when it comes to major gifts, I'm looking for people who want to be all in, who are going to be in for the long haul, who are mission aligned. Like their mission in life aligns with our mission. Their values align with our values. Like they're in. They're not just going to give $1 million. They're also going to host something in their home. They're also going to make calls. They're also going to make warm introductions. They're also going to come with me on a meeting with a donor. They're going to give me their whole life. Like, it's not about them. Like, why would we stop with the money? If someone is really aligned with our mission, like we ask for too little. We are asking for too little.
I love that. So good. You said something interesting about, well, I think, we're living in a very interesting time. I think it's also the greatest time ever to be alive. That's how I feel. I'm an optimist. That's just how I was born. But it is also, there's so much opportunity. I don't need to tell you that, obviously. I see how you look at the lens through which you look at life in the short time of knowing you. But you said something interesting as well about these folks is that I think people can smell bullshit better than they ever have before. Right? From a mile away. It's interesting for being such a strange time. And I don't know what to believe and this and that and the other thing. And I get down this echo chamber of this thought and that blah, blah, blah. And connecting with people and just that approach is so refreshing to people, especially for people with capacity that, like I said, people can smell bullshit from a mile away. I was going to ask you a question about that kind of where it's like, are you teaching people? Are you coaching people just to get even the elephant in the room, just to like, hey, I'm going to swing for the fences here. You know what I mean? We say things like, hey, I know that you can, I know that you care. Tie it back to the mission. It's like every $1,000 sends a kid to camp. Hey, how many kids would like we have said all sorts of stuff like that. I'm not saying that's how you frame everything, but do you just get it out there? Not to let you off the hook, but just because it's just honest. It's like, this is what we're looking to do. Do you ever just put, because I have a follow-up question. It's like, have you ever gone on the money too quick? That's one of my questions. But it's like, do you just throw things out there just so folks understand exactly where you're coming from? Like that, the beauty of what you just said is like, we're asking for too little. So is it, do you put that out there early and often? And do you coach people to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Being honest and direct raises more money faster and for longer. People, who do you think raises more money? Somebody who's like, look, I know this person is really wealthy. They're super busy. They're on a plane all the time. They're texting and they're emailing. They don't want to get on Zoom. They're not going to meet me for coffee unless I happen to be where they are when they're there. So I'm just going to say, hey, Trevor, you care about this, or at least that's what you told me, right? It's like, I listen. So when I'm listening, I'm repeating back the words that they said. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, don't go talking around me. Don't go talking. Don't go telling me what you care about, what your values are, what you're going to do with your money. Don't go telling me unless you want me to put it right back to you. Like, hey, so here's what you said. I mean, that's it, right? It's like, you said that you care about this. You said your core value is generosity. You said that you have, XYZ coming to you because of this big business deal that you're doing. You said that you're looking for more meaning in your life. You said blah, de, blah, de, blah, de, blah, de, blah. And like, for those reasons, I'm asking you to consider giving $300,000 over the course of the next 2 years. And yes, I've totally asked for money way too soon. And part of, again, it goes back to emotional IQ. Can you read where you stand with someone? And a lot of my clients are like, like those 80s movies where it was like the beautiful girl, but she doesn't know that she's beautiful, right? In high school, she's like like the guy likes her, but she's like, oh, he doesn't like me, Yeah. And it's like, no. He's into you. I struggle to find a better metaphor because I don't love comparing fundraising to dating. There's problematic things with that. There's a lot of harassment in fundraising, which we don't need to get into, but there is this, do you actually see yourself accurately? And a lot of folks don't. They're like, oh, what we tell ourselves is I need to work harder. I need to get more meetings. I need to reach out more. It needs to take more time where I could possibly ask for double what they're giving now. And that thinking is wrong. There are so many donors who move at different paces. Some folks, they're going to need a year and a half, maybe. Some folks need one meeting and to listen to a video or read your annual report, see who's on your board. They're good to go. Like, everybody is different. So again, it goes back to that emotional IQ. Like, can you accurately read what's happening within that donor and where you stand with them? And that's part of what I teach people to do is they learn how to discern what's going on with the donor, where are they at, what's their next step, what's the next step that they need to take that I can help facilitate. I asked a guy who got connected to our organization through the board chair, and he came to like one event, and then I asked him for $250,000. And he literally said to me, he was like, hey, this feels soon.
Yeah.
That was the first thing he said. And I was like,
coffee. Can we get a cup of coffee first? Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I'm mortified. I'm mortified. And I think he could tell that I was mortified. And he was like, I know my friend who's the board chair, like, I know he gives a lot of money and, but how long did it take for him to give this much? And I was like, oh, well, he's been involved with the organization for like 20 years or something, And he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't need 20 years, but maybe a year, he's like, I'd like to like come to another event and like bring my wife. And I'd like to, like see what you guys do for the holidays and like kind of see how this goes. And he's like, but it's not off the table. It's just, this is like really soon. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just owned it. And I think that's sometimes fundraisers' mistake. Again, we can't handle the awkward, so we avoid it. And a lot of people in that position would just run away, hide, never speak to that person again out of embarrassment and shame. And then because they don't want to face them, which is part of why we're obsessed with new donors. Because we drop the ball with the ones that we have, and we would rather have a brand new slate of people that we are going to disappoint. And it's like, no. You don't need more new donors. Like, first, you do, but not right now. First, face the music. Acknowledge the awkward. That's what I tell my clients. Acknowledge the awkward. They're like, it feels awkward to reach out. It feels awkward to get connected to this donor. It feels awkward to ask for more. It feels awkward to say that. Be like, hey, you know what? I haven't done a good job. Yeah. And I feel awkward reaching out to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said that to people. I'm like, I've even gone so far as to say, we've failed you. You've given this much money, and we as an organization have failed you. And I mean, how many times have I had to do that when it wasn't even my fault? I'm in this new position. I'm reaching out to these donors who are assigned to me. They're in my portfolio. Guess what? The donor doesn't care. They don't care. They don't care that you're new. They don't care that it wasn't your fault. You represent the organization, right? And do as much as you can to make it right. If you can't make it right, if they can't forgive, if they can't let it go, if they can't move on, then you need to let them go and stop wasting your energy on people who are bitter. Like, there's plenty more out there, right? There's plenty of people, plenty of donors who are searching for the solution. the problem that you solve in the particular way that you solve it. There's enough for everybody. So we don't have to stick with people who are not our people. And there's no quicker way, surefire way to lower your confidence than to hang on to people who you know are not the right fit people.
It sounds so relational driven. Like you would never know these things, unless you are invested in creating that relationship and building that relationship. You build a relationship by being honest, by ripping the Band-Aid off, even if it's not your fault, by just putting it out there. And I'll tell you what, people respond well to that, right? It's just like,
yes.
It's so
they're more forgiving than you think they're going to be.
Yeah.
Carey Nieuwhof wrote in one of his books, if you listen longer than most people, you will hear what most people won't hear. And I think part of why I've had success is because I listen to people for longer than most people are willing to listen. And so I hear things from donors that they don't tell anyone else. And as a result, I know where their heart is. I understand what makes them tick. And then I can invite them to make a difference that's aligned with their heart.
Do you talk about this when you coach folks up or just in your experience? Because I call it the power of silence. Any young salesperson has dealt with, okay, it's just like, it's almost kind of like the Post-it note on the desktop that says, now shut up.
Yes.
It's just like, and there's so much, listening, all these different things resonating 100%, but there is, with the ask, with a conversation, with building that relationship, regardless of the capacity, there is so much power in silence coming from someone that classically overspeaks. It's a work in progress, obviously, but there's so much power in silence, especially when you get to the money, right? Like a bullet point of mine that I really wanted to get to is like, when you've done it, when you've nailed it. And I've heard so many stories of people that are, they're just like, I was going to say a number and that got them going because we had the relationship. And then the number that they mentioned was like 3x what I was going to even say because I shut up. And I know you have some examples of just the power of silence and just how folks can take that with them from the episode.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of what I teach is make the ask, say the number, shut up, stop talking, wait. Let them respond to it, whatever it is. Yeah. And then having, being ready for whatever they're going to say. Plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, basically.
Yeah.
I've had people say, oh, well, our philanthropic dollars are accounted for this year. And I'm like, okay. And that used to shut me up. Like I would have no answer to that. And then I was like, oh, that's great that you make decisions in advance. So since we're here right now, can we talk about next year?
Yeah. Open that door because, it's only 8 months away. So here we go.
Yeah. And I'm like, I love that you do that. So let's talk about next year right now. And they're like, oh. And I've had, and this is to people who are extremely wealthy, right? And they're like, wow, you're so prepared. Or like they appreciate that I'm not wasting their time. That's how it's perceived.
Yeah. We're here now. Yeah.
Yeah. Then fine. Let's just talk about it. Okay, great. Yeah. Oh, so for next year too, then let's talk about 2 years from now. Because guess what? We're not going anywhere. And I perceive you to really care about this issue. Am I wrong? They'll tell me. They'll be like, oh, no, you're not wrong. I really do care about this. I grew up in this neighborhood that you serve. And they just tell exactly. They'll fill it all in for me. And I'm like, amazing. So for those reasons, it makes sense. We're trying to impact 1 million people by 2030. We'd love for you to step up and give $150,000 2 years from now or whatever it is, right? It's like having a plan and being prepared, particularly when you're talking to people about a major gift, it builds so much trust and credibility because I'm not caught off guard. I'm taking this seriously. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. There's a higher level of respect when I can just boldly look you in the eye and we can come to a win-win.
Yeah. No, I think it's massive. I think it's huge. Yeah, people value their time. Obviously, you've touched on that a half a dozen times in the last hour. Just, you got them there right then. Just you got to go, right? That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the opportunity. I had a couple other follow-up questions for you. I love just the power of silence. I just get giddy about that just from my past and being in sales and what have you. I'm really cute. And I mentioned briefly about just like psychology and getting people to just double down on what they did. And the best time to sell something is right after you sold something, or sometimes the best time to get someone to give is right after they gave. I'm also a big believer in thanking people. And I think it's not done super well. And I do think you're an expert at asking. You're an expert at getting people to give. And if you tell me I'm full of it and you go, hey man, like, no, when we pick up the phone, we ask for money. Then so be it. And that's okay. And I'll respect that. Is there a situation where, people are going, every time they call me, they ask me for money? Like, you've come across these situations. And I think when that kind of stuff happens, we've done a bad job of thanking them, involving them, sharing, stewardship, sharing, building the relationship, all these things. Talk to folks just about how powerful having, I'm not trying to get too cliche, but we call it planned gratitude, just the right way to go about thanking people and how important you may think it is. Talk to folks about your perspective on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, first off, there's a lot of data around if you thank first-time donors within the first 48 hours, you're going to increase the likelihood of their second gift by 40%, 35%, something like that. If a board member thanks a first-time donor within 48 hours of their first gift, then it increases the likelihood of a second gift by 400%, something bananas crazy. So it's kind of like, duh, why wouldn't we do these things? Just like do it, get it done. Like, it's just an easy, like, slam dunk.
Yeah.
And then your board members feel really good. They're like, oh, hi, this is Julie. I'm a board member and I'm calling you to say thank you. It's like, that's awesome.
And they didn't have to get the money. Yeah. So it's
right.
perfect.
No ask involved, but they're definitely involved in fundraising, right? And that increases their buy-in into the fundraising process. It makes them feel proud to be involved because you're taking care of the people who are giving money. I think that, relationships and staying in touch with people and keeping them in the loop is important. And the best strategy to do that is the way that you like to do it. So whatever you enjoy doing is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
How's that for a brilliant strategy? Yeah. It's like, okay, you don't want to like get on video and record Loom videos. Then don't do that. Don't do it. Like, keeping in touch with people, everything works, but you just have to keep in touch with them. Yep. If you want to send handwritten notes, I have a client who we raised over $10 million last year, 2024, 86% major donor retention rate. So you better believe that retention and stewardship is really important in the work that we do. And he hates writing handwritten notes. I personally love it. I think it's really fun and sweet, and it's a way to stand out. But he's like, Julie, I just can't. I know I should write these handwritten notes, but I can't do it. I just don't want to do it. I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, don't do it. Don't do it. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And he's like, I really like video. And like, I like using Loom. I can just do like a quick update to people that's personalized in less than 5 minutes. And I can just kind of walk them through like our annual report or like a page on our website or highest performing social media content or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter. Like however you want to stay in touch with people and keep them in the loop is the way that's likely to be most effective, because your energy of like, I'm enjoying this comes through right? In the medium. If you're forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do, that also is felt by the recipient. So if you hate writing emails, like, please, dear God, don't do that. There are other ways to do it. And I think that's typically my advice. And I especially if you're an executive director, CEO, and you've got maybe like, your 15, 20 major donors, board members, whoever that you've got to keep in touch with. You are the relationship manager effectively. Then find your medium. Like, I love podcasts, so I do them. And I think it's
sometimes
fun.
You do it alone. Yeah. Sometimes you do it alone, and they're awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And that works for me.
Yeah.
And not because maybe I don't think I'm the best at it. I'm showing up as myself, right? I'm authentically me. I'm not pretending to be somebody else. I'm having fun. I enjoy this. And that comes through, right? So it's not necessarily like, oh, everybody should do a podcast. Podcasts are magic. I do think there's a tremendous opportunity with podcasting, but do the thing that for you, how do you want to thank people? How do you like thanking people? How do you like staying in touch with people in general, like in life? How do you stay in touch with old friends, with family members who live in a different state, with people how do you like to stay in touch with them? Do that with your donors. Like it's just, can we give ourselves permission to show up more authentically, right? And that's what you were saying, Trevor, is like the differentiator is really the magic. How you show up as your unique self is the magic. And we need to drop this professionalism crap and talk like how we talk and show up how we want to show up. And we'll actually be consistent because we enjoy the process.
So much gold there. Can't change who you are. Not everyone's going to like you. There's all sorts of magic there, right? It just is what it is. It's, you can't be everything to everyone, I think is what I'm trying to say, right? That's a thing. And yeah, it's like, hey, what are you good at? Okay, do that. It's like,
totally.
That's like you said, the permission there or the invitation there is lovely. Julie, I'm sorry to go 30,000 foot view on you. However, I ask everyone this question. I know what you do and how you coach people, and I know your expertise, and it's very, very, it's a wide spectrum of success and how you coach folks and what have you. However, I ask everyone that comes on, I say, fundraising is hard. I know your job is to make it easier, but let's just accept that it's hard. Otherwise, everyone would say yes. In my theory, fundraising is hard. Don't make it more difficult by doing what?
Doing it alone.
That was the fastest answer we've ever gotten.
I think that's the big lie. That's the big lie, that we must figure it out on our own, that we should be further along than we are, and that we need to put more on our own plate, that we should make up for board members who are great cheerleaders on the sidelines, but remain unhelpful by putting more on our own plate, that we should make up for employees and team members who are not cutting it by putting more on our own plate and doing it alone, that we think we're supposed to move heaven and earth alone. I mean, there's just a way of thinking and a belief. It's a really big lie that I find a lot of us believe and buy into. And it's why we don't invest in our own professional development. It's why we don't invest in help. It's why we don't ask for help. Raising money is a form of asking for help. If you are bad at asking for help in your personal life, it's no surprise you would be bad at asking for help professionally. And there's a limit to putting more on your plate. And I've met way too many folks who have maxed out what's on their plate to the point that it's costing them too high of a cost. They're succeeding, they're reaching their goals, but they feel alone. They don't know anybody else who's working as hard as them. It fosters a lot of really bad thinking because we believe we're supposed to figure this out on our own. And it's a massive lie. And a really big unlock is getting around people who are aspirational in some way, and to make those people your friends. My closest friends are also mentors in some ways. They're better than me in terms of having really strong faith sometimes, or I'm just feeling discouraged, or I'm feeling, any number of things that I'm struggling with. And I'm like, who could I get around who's winning in these areas? And that is like a massive key to success that we have control over. We have control over getting around people who are going to be in our corner.
It's awesome. So good. That was awesome. I had a couple other quick follow-up questions I wanted to think, because I told you the greatest fundraising episode I've ever heard was the one that you put out in October of last year. And you were talking about time management, which this is your invitation to come back, because we need to get into let's get rid of those unnecessary 90-minute meetings. And then the follow-up meeting that's 90 minutes with you hit me so hard in between the eyes with that. It was amazing. So here's your invitation to come back. You got to come back. Sorry, Julie.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
We'll do a webinar where we can get questions from folks not named Trevor. But another thing was what do you do to get pumped up to start asking people for money? Did you have any unlocks or anything like that? Where you're like, I listen to heavy metal. This is my playlist right now. Now you're inspiring a lot of people and you're working with a lot. What do you do to fill your cup? What do you do to get pumped up?
That's a great question. Yeah, I have a playlist that I actually made. You can get it for free. If you DM me on LinkedIn, I'll send it to you. That's something it's something like that, like pump up before a big ask or whatever.
Cool.
There's songs on there. Yeah, I mean, right before a meeting, I'm like doing power poses. I try to get there early because I hate the stress of running late. Yuck. And then that energy, you bring that into the meeting, and it's just it's awful. It's even harder to overcome. Okay, I need to get into the right headspace and be fully present here. I try to start my day with I'm a huge Brendan Burchard fan. Do you know who he is?
I don't. Mm-mm.
So he's considered the number one life coach or executive coach in the world.
Wow.
And he talks about how start your day with the intention of how you want to feel. Mm. And so I even ask myself that before I start my day. I'm like, I say a prayer for my clients. I say a prayer for my donors, a prayer of blessing over them. And I thank God. I'm like, okay, God, everything here is yours. Everything that you've given me, my talent, my intellect, my character, my experiences, my relationships, all of my resources, it's all yours. And let's go wreck shop. You know what I mean? I get into this really grateful place. And I'm like, okay, how do I want to feel? Today, I want to have fun. Today, I want to feel confident. Today, I want to feel, whatever it is. I want to bring encouragement. How can I encourage people today? Encouragement is the theme of my day. So starting your day out with that type of intention, which most people do not do, right? We wake up, we look at our phone, we doom scroll for too long. We're like, oh shit, I just wasted 45 minutes. I got to get up. We have our responsibilities. We got to check our email. I got to check Slack. Got to check all of our messages. Got to respond. And it's just okay, what is my intention before I get wrapped up in everybody else's stuff and all of the demands of my life? How do I want to show up today? And I did not always do this. I am not a naturally grateful person. I am extremely ambitious and I am always chasing the biggest challenge. I'm like, okay, great. Accomplish that. What's the next mountain I'm going to climb? Yeah. And I just like, and it's like, okay, Julie, like take a minute to reflect.
Yeah.
And instead of constantly seeking the next achievement, the next accomplishment, which can sometimes breed this like dissatisfaction or even like depression, like, man, I'm not there yet. Like I thought I would be XYZ by now. And being intentional about being grateful is not something that comes naturally to me. Maybe there's people who that's just like, they're just totally grateful.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me. I have to like be intentional about that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I want to start my day. So this is pretty recent. I started my day. I'm like, I wake up, first thought, I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you that I'm alive. I'm breathing. I have a roof over my head. I have healthy food. I have an amazing husband. I have a life that I love. I have incredible clients. I get to make a real impact in the world. Like I just go on down the line. Some people might call that meditation. Some people might call it a gratitude prayer. I'm just like, I'm talking to God and I'm talking to myself and I'm telling my subconscious, I'm like, hey girl, you're going to be grateful today. And that has made a huge difference in how I show up because I already feel rich. I already feel, and I have had extremely dark times, I mean, things that have happened in my personal life the last year that have like brought me to my knees. It has not been easy. So that being in that space and telling myself these mantras, like giving is a gift to the giver. There are plenty of people who care about what we're doing in the world and who are eager and willing and ready to step up and do something about it. Those core convictions, I meditate on them, meaning I think those thoughts over and over and over again, almost every day. I'm like, oh yeah, giving is a gift to the giver. This isn't an imposition. Like it's a blessing to them if they want to join us. If they don't want to join, it's all good. I'm going to be just fine. I don't need to prove anything. I'm already worthy as I am. This isn't for me. This isn't about my ego. This isn't like, ooh, look at me. Look how much money I raise. I don't even care. I'm like, I want to change the world and I want to help people. That's it. That's what this is about. And that's going to happen. Is it going to happen maybe the way that I would like? Usually not. Right? But it's like, how do I want to feel going through these challenges and these struggles? Do I want to constantly feel like crap?
Yeah. Or
do I want to have a good time? I learned a lot of that from Brendan Burchard. And just being intentional about who you are and who you're becoming, and that you're designing your inner world. That's ultimately where you dwell, is in your head and your heart. And so, I mean, and I find when I show up like that, I attract more people like that, who are intentional about their lives.
So good. It's encouraging to hear that gratitude is a skill that can be taught and learned and implemented in your life. However, I will push back. You said, I wasn't always the most grateful person because I'm so ambitious. I think that you are grateful. You're probably very just grateful for opportunities. Those opportunities that were in front of you too, right?
Oh, thanks.
That's a piece of it, but I have so many more questions. But like I said, this is it's a tease to the audience. This is your invitation to come back because you're always welcome. Julie, I'm a huge fan of your work.
Oh, thanks.
I want you to tell folks, I want everyone, please show Julie some love on LinkedIn, DM her for that rockin' playlist. But Julie, tell folks what you're doing, the best way they can find you, the pod that is the best pod that I've ever listened to in the space. And of course, Andrew, can we make sure, Andrew and Rhino, that we put that episode daily habits to raise more major gifts, which there's so much more than the title from Julie's podcast. We'll put that in the show notes so folks can access it very, very easily. But yeah, Julie, tell folks the easiest way where they can find you and all that good stuff, please.
Yeah. So I hang out on LinkedIn, like you mentioned. And it's Julie Ordoñez. You can find me there. My podcast is nonprofitcouragelab.com. You can go there, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to work together, hit me up, DM me. I'm happy to see how I might be able to help. I have a group program, and I also work with clients who are looking to raise 10 million or more in the next 2 years. And I come on as their co-head of fundraising. So depending on where you're at and what you're trying to do, I'd love to help. So yeah, that's it. That's where you can find me.
I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, folks, like I said, show Julie some love. And that's where we met her, was on LinkedIn. And give the episode a listen. Give her podcast a listen whenever new episodes come out. It would mean the world to us. Please, if you got any value out of this, share it with someone in your network. We will see you all again very, very soon. Thanks, Julie. Can't thank you enough. It was amazing. Really, really great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.